you need one of these if you don't have one. What's up guys, I got a brand new video for you today. Today we're going to talk about upping your Instagram game and just bringing it to the next level. But first I want to read you something. Hi, sorry, I only work with good photographers that have a larger following on Insta. Alright, so that thing I just read you is basically something that kind of sparked me into upping my Instagram game. I've mainly just kind of not liked Instagram for sharing photos because first of all, the dimensions are weird, the quality's not good, and I just haven't really fully embraced it. But the thing is, after receiving that message from a model that I was just reaching out to see if I could shoot with, I realized that I probably should up my Instagram game, and I'm kind of late to the party. I've only really been using my Instagram as kind of like a MySpace. That was a place where you just shared all kinds of stuff, and that's basically how I used Instagram. But the thing is, there's so much opportunity as a photographer or a videographer to actually use Instagram and just get work that way. And it's funny because I never really looked at it that way, and I probably should have. But today we're going to talk about why I archived all my photos, started out from scratch, and kind of rebranded my personal Instagram as my portfolio. So you're probably saying, Lee, why in 2018 would you just now decide to make your Instagram your portfolio? You should have done that a long time ago. I know, but getting that message from a model just kind of like was like a punch in the nuts, and it just kind of was a wake-up call. And it made me decide that I should probably really get things looking the way I should. I assume I'm a good photographer. You know, I've taken a few good photos, and it's too bad that Instagram followers kind of determines whether you're a good photographer or not. It really doesn't, but to the outside world, it kind of does. And a lot of you are probably like, Lee, you don't have that many followers on Instagram. How can you be giving advice? Well, I've read a lot, done a lot of research, talked to a lot of people who do have a lot of followers, and kind of learned some of the tips and tricks that they've shared with me, and I want to share them with you so we can basically be on this ride together. You can watch my Instagram grow, hopefully, and maybe it'll also help you out as well. Anyway, let's go to the computer. I'm going to give you some tips on how to properly format your photos and make them look awesome inside of Instagram. So if you are a photographer or you're into photography, the biggest thing I can say is having consistency. So having your images flow nicely on your grid so they all just kind of match each other and look awesome. If you look at someone like Brandon Wolfel, all of his images just flow together nicely and they all match nicely in the grid. You can definitely tell it's his shot when you see it, not only because of his style, but because of the type of presets and the processing that he does to his images. All right, so jumping into Photoshop, I have an image here that I already posted on Instagram, and I have a series of images. What I've been doing is I've been posting 3 from the same photo shoot. You don't have to do it that way, but basically I've already posted this image and I've already got it to the color tone that I want it to look like. But I'm gonna show you one of the images that I'm gonna actually post, and I'm not gonna post it till tomorrow, I think, but I wanna edit these up. So I think I'm gonna post this image right here, and that's the JPEG, but I'm gonna open up the raw file, and I wanna make it look exactly like this image. So what I've already done is I've gone ahead and actually made a preset. I'm gonna open it up. It should look pretty similar to the other image. There might be a little bit too much green in it. Processing is subjective. You can do processing the any way you want. I'm not gonna go through how I process my files because it's a video for another day. I've got it pretty much matched up with how this image looks, but I do have a bunch of filters that I put on it afterwards. So I'm gonna do that to this image as well. So I'm literally just gonna copy over these presets. But there we can see our image looks pretty well the same as this one. These were taken on different days, not the same day, but they were taken with the same camera. So it really helps if you have the same camera. But now we're gonna talk about dimensions because dimensions are important on Instagram. You wanna make sure you have the proper dimensions so everything shows up the way you want. Now this shot was taken landscape, which doesn't really show up that well on Instagram because they've made it so that everything looks best portrait. So if you do wanna have your images show up in landscape, you can still put them up like this. They just don't really show up as large in the feed. So if you wanna do a landscape shot, what you wanna do is you wanna go File, New. You're gonna make a new document that's 1080 by 1080. You can go down to advanced options, and where it says Adobe RGB 1998, it might not say that for you, but you wanna go to sRGB. You wanna always make sure that you're using sRGB, otherwise your colors in Photoshop won't look the same as they do on your phone. I'm just gonna pull this off for now, and I'm literally just gonna drag it over to the new one, and I'm gonna have to scale it down. And as you can see, you can't really get the entire image into this little square, but you can get it pretty close. This is like the only way that you're gonna get your images to fit really nicely into the feed. So there's this option, or there's also the portrait option. So I'll show you this after. And this is if you want to get your landscape image to fit into a perfect square. But there's another option that I want to talk about too, and this is made for portrait shots. And that's 1080 by 1350. Same thing, sRGB, create. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna drag the same image back into here, but this time we're gonna lose a lot of the bike. Scale this down a little bit. So this is the best dimensions you can get if you want to show up in the feed properly. 1080 by 1350, that'll fill a nice part of the feed. You don't get as much of the image, especially if you shot it in landscape. A lot of photographers are probably starting to shoot with Instagram in mind, which is kind of weird because the dimensions are so off. But here's 1080 by 1080, you see more of the bike. And then here's 1080 by 1350, you see less of the bike, but it'll fill the feed properly. Save it as the maximum quality, hit OK. Now you got your image here. If you've got a Mac and an iPhone, you can send it airdrop to your phone, or you can email it to yourself. And once you've emailed it to yourself or sent it over, we'll get into Instagram. So once your image is loaded into Instagram, the first thing you want to do is actually double tap it, and that's going to make it fit the actual size that you want it to be. You're going to hit next. And what I usually do is actually add sharpening to this, because since we shot this with a DSLR, we want it to look really good. So we're going to go to edit. And usually what I do is put 20% sharpening on it, either between 20 and 40%. So I'm going to put 40% sharpening on it right there. 41%, hit done. Then we're gonna go to next. So this next part's super important. That's your description and your hashtags. The description doesn't matter that much. A lot of photographers end up using some kind of quote or motivational, inspirational thing. I don't usually do that. What I've started doing is just putting what the photo's about, the model's name, and then the camera and lens used. So I have a list of hashtags that I use for portrait photography. Some of the accounts are ones that'll actually share your photo to a larger audience. If you tag them, sometimes they'll actually choose you and feature you. You kind of want that, especially as a photographer. You want your images featured in front of way more eyes than what you actually have. One way to find these tags is to actually start typing them in. There'll be a whole bunch of different portrait hashtags to tell you how many posts are actually using that hashtag, and you want to go for the ones that have the most posts, because that probably means they're the most popular ones that you're going to find. You can find other ones out there as well, but if you start choosing the ones that are really important, that have the most posts, you'll have a lot more exposure to your image. All right, so once you get your hashtags into your post, you don't want to go too spammy with it. You don't want to have more than 10, because Instagram's starting to crack down on spammers and stuff like that. And if you have more hashtags and spammy looking hashtags, Instagram's algorithm might not actually make your image show up the way you think it's going to. Having more hashtags and spammy looking hashtags like follow for follow are probably going to make your photo get buried and not actually get featured the way you think it's going to. After you've done that and everything looks good, just hit share. I'm not going to do it with this image because I don't want to post it till tomorrow, and you should be good to go. All right, so now that you have your image posted, you're gonna start seeing likes coming in and stuff like that. What you wanna do after that is actually make a story, because the story is gonna direct people to that post. So since Instagram's algorithm is all over the place right now, and some people might not even see your image at all, even if they're following you, they might not see it, but they're always gonna see your story at the top, because that stays up there for 24 hours. So what you wanna do is direct them to your new post by actually making a story. And you're gonna wanna do the width 1080 and your height 1920. Again, make sure it's sRGB, hit create. It's 9:16 aspect ratio, which is actually 16:9, but vertically. Basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna drag your image over to it. You're gonna scale it down just like we did on the other one. So we're gonna hit apply. And there we have our Instagram image set up perfectly for a story. You can put some text on it if you want to. So you can do something like that and say new post. Some people get really clickbaity with it and they'll actually scribble out half the post. So they'll do something like this, so that you have to actually go and click on the actual image inside the post. I don't usually do that because I don't want my brand to be that. So when you're done, you're gonna hit save, JPEG. I'm gonna send this to my phone. Accept. So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna post our story by sliding up, and it'll be our most recent image we did. And basically, you can just hit send to, and it'll actually send it to your story, and then that will actually direct people to it. Now, if you have an account that is over 10,000 subscribers and a business account, you can actually set it to swipe up, and it'll take you to other links or to other videos and stuff like that if you have that. So I use that image as an example. I haven't posted it. If you're looking at my feed here, I haven't put that type of photo in there. But as you can tell, I've upped my Instagram feed. What I've done is I've done 3 images from each photo shoot that I've done, and I've kind of matched the color tones so they all look the same. It's kind of the way I edit my photos now anyway, and I just feel like it has a nice cohesive look to it. All right, so you got your post looking awesome, your grid's looking cohesive, you're consistent, you're posting often, you've got your stories matched up with your posts, you've got proper hashtags, not spammy hashtags. You should start growing. I'm not a professional, but this is just what I've learned from a lot of people who are doing really well, and it seems to be working for them. I've already got like 3 or 4 jobs out of this since I started like 2 weeks ago when I archived everything, and I've had other models approach me. I haven't gained a ton of followers, but I've definitely seen the engagement, and the amount of likes and stuff go up compared to what I'm normally used to. So I think it's just about being consistent because people will see that and want to follow you. I've never really asked anyone to subscribe to this channel, but if you want to subscribe, do that down below. And if you are subscribed and you haven't clicked the notification bell, do that because that will actually allow you to know when I post a new video, and I try to post once to twice a week. So if not, who cares? Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, give it a thumbs down twice, and follow my Instagram. Shameless plugs. You gotta do it sometime.